Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with something so cool. We have another Ricsan Custom Toys figure, and as you can see, we have Kong 1962. So that is a really cool version of Kong that I have not seen anybody else make so far, and honestly, it's a version of Kong that I have actually wanted for a very long time, because even though he's quite goofy looking, it's just something that I've always been fond of because I grew up on that sort of Kong, because I used to watch, of course, all of those Saturday movie monster marathons, and they would often have the different old school, Kong films, and Godzilla versus Kong and all that stuff. Well, Godzilla versus King Kong. And this figure, again, is going to be absolutely awesome to add to my collection. You can see the packaging is pretty much what you've come to know from Ricsan Custom Toys. You've got the nice shot here of Kong on the front of the box. You can see, again, Kong 1962 down here. And then if we go to the top of the box, you've got a different angle here. Again, a really cool shot of Kong again. And then on the back, you can now see a really cool shot of Kong right there, looking like it's pretty much straight out of Godzilla versus King Kong, and definitely some really cool box art here for the back. On top of that, before we even open that, I just wanted to show you guys this, because this is basically the catalog for the Ricsan Custom Toys figures, and you can see basically some of the figures. Actually, you'll see all of the figures that are available currently from them, some of which we have reviewed here on the channel. Like, we have reviewed both of these. We now have reviewed Varan as well. Definitely hoping to get these two in my collection at some point soon, and of course get reviews up for them as well. I also really do want the Odo Island Godzilla, but I am super fond of those two, Gorosaurus and stuff I love. But as you lead down here, we open it up, you can now see some of the other figures that are available as well, including, Anguirus and stuff, and the Gargantuan brothers, which I'm sure you can figure out who they are, and of course Baragon and stuff like that. But we also have now reviewed Titanosaurus as well, and here's the Kong we are about to check out. But that's really fun, just to be able to kind of give you a nice shot of all of the figures that are currently available through Ricsan Custom Toys. So let's go ahead, pop this box open, and we'll bring in our King Kong. So included within, we again have some super cool stickers. You can see the artwork here. Oh, wow, look at that one. That one is awesome. The artwork done by Ricsan Custom Toys is continuously awesome. We actually got two of the same sticker there. And these would be just really fun to put, basically behind my Ricsan Custom Toys figures, just as a display. A part of the display would be really fun. But what else is really cool about this figure is you get actually numerous extras. First of all, we have these drums included, which these are basically what King Kong drinks from when they use the drums to basically poison him in a way. Not necessarily poison him, but to tranquilize him so that they can take King Kong to go fight Godzilla. And that's pretty cool. You also actually have alternate hands for King Kong and an alternate head. So that's really cool, giving you quite a few different options for your King Kong figure. And then, of course, our King Kong himself, who obviously is a little bit too tall. So let's go ahead and readjust the camera here. And there we go. We now have brought our King Kong back to life. And I must say, they absolutely nailed the likeness of King Kong from, again, Godzilla versus King Kong. And basically, any Toho version of King Kong, I would say. I think he absolutely looks exactly as I remember him, which is, again, so cool to be able to have an actual figure of this version of King Kong. It's honestly something I've been wanting ever since NECA released the Godzilla from this film, but not King Kong. And they have so many King Kongs out, like, why would they not go with this version? I don't understand. I don't know if maybe there's like some issue where they don't have the rights to. I don't know. But lucky for us, Ricsan Custom Toys comes in and hooks us up with this absolutely epic figure. So if you get nice and close, you can see it looks really good. The fur detail looks excellent. There's quite a bit of really impressive fur detail throughout, but then you also, of course, have the nice skin textured areas here of the face. You have a very dark brown for the furry areas of King Kong, and then, of course, a light gray here for the face, which is really cool. The light gray also seems to have a little bit of extra color to it. It's hard to pick up on probably on camera, but it just seems to have almost like a slight metallic shine, but also just a little extra I would say depth to the coloration in there. You can see the nostrils of Kong nicely sculpted out. The eyes are painted with a white, given a black pupil. We can see the mouth is slightly open, where we can see the teeth inside there just a little bit. They're sculpted all individually, painted individually as well. They look pretty darn nice. As you move through King Kong, you do of course have articulation. So first of all, you've got a really nice spot right here where the head can completely swivel backwards if you want it to. And of course, this area is actually applied with a magnet, because we can pull that off, which you can see it comes off pretty easy, and then replace that with the alternate head of King Kong, which has a little bit of a goofier look to him, I think. But you can see the mouth is open a little bit more so on this version than we see on the other version of King Kong. And you can kind of make out the tongue on the inside of the mouth as well. And there is actually another spot of articulation right here, which you can see. I can't really get a whole lot to go on with it, but you can see I can move it around. But again, you just throw the magnetic head back on there, and it stays on really nicely. As you can see, it's quite stable. As you move down into the arms of King Kong, you can see some more very impressive fur detail, absolutely as vibrant when it comes to the detail as it gets. We also have the ability to articulate the arms, of course, forward and back, and out away from the body, which again allows you tons of possibilities as far as displaying the figure. You can move the elbow back and forth and also swivel, and then you can, of course, swivel the wrists. And as we move down, first of all, you can see that is a very impressive arm sculpt, definitely quite muscular looking. The fur detail continues to look really good, really vibrant, and as you move down into the hands, you can see the knuckles and everything here for the hands sculpted nicely. These hands are basically in the position almost of like a fist, so our King Kong can punch Godzilla right in the face if he chooses to, but just like with the head, they are connected with a magnet, which means we can bring up our opposing hands, and now we have more of an open hand look. So now we have an open hand on one side and then the fist on the other. So again, they are of course giving you the option to basically create whatever diorama you want. You can see the palms of the hands and everything really nicely sculpted. They definitely don't hold back when it comes to the fine detail. And of course, you can do the same thing with both sides if you want. Again, it's a magnet on both sides, so super cool, and I like that way of doing it. It's definitely very easy, very convenient, and isn't like complicated like sometimes you get with figures like this, where you have to actually like pop a piece out and pop it back in with like ball joints or something like that. The magnet thing is just so much easier. But as you move down into the front of King Kong, you can see his pecs right here. They're also painted out again with a light gray, which is definitely very nice. Again, same color that we see for the hands as well as the face. We've got another spot of articulation in the midsection, of course, which can go left and right and back and forward. So again, creating basically any pose as far as that area goes that you might be interested in. As you continue to move down, the fur detail here moving in the front looks really good, and I like that you can see like certain areas where the fur kind of extends out further. Some areas it's finer, some areas it's just kind of all shaggy looking, kind of like roughed up, which again is exactly as you would expect to see. As you move down a little bit further, you do have the legs, and you can move the legs again forward and back, which is really, really nice. And you can, of course, kind of swivel those and bring them out away from the body if you want. And then you have knee articulation, again, forward and back, also can swivel, which you can see. And then you've got ankle articulation, again, forward and back, and also can swivel. So very nice, very smooth articulation down through there. Again, these Ricsan Custom Toys figures have wire or string. I'm not really sure how you want to term it, but the same type of articulation you see on like Jurassic Justin's stuff. And it's very, very flexible. It's very impressive when it comes to the mobility and the amount of poses you can achieve with it. But as you move down through the legs again look quite muscular, very impressive. The fur detail continues to look really nice. We have the dark browns moving the entire way down. As we move down into the toes, you can see the toes sculpted out, also painted with a light gray, again the same tone we see for the skin textured areas of King Kong. You can even see the nails sculpted out. They don't actually have any paintwork for the nails, but they are sculpted out on the toes. So if you really want, you can touch those areas up and again just polish off the paint job, I guess, if you really want the nails painted. But as you move through the back, you can see, again, just generally a very impressive big back for our King Kong, looking quite muscular. And then as we move down, we again have the same type of fur detail the entire way through. You can see Ricsan on the underside of the 1 foot right there, but in general, again, the skin texture of the undersides of the feet is, again, even quite impressive. And if we take a closer look at the head here, the alternate head, you can see, again, that one also looks really good when it comes to both the sculpt and the paint job of the head. And then we again have the hands, which we already took a brief look at, but you can see those look really good. Again, you can even see the fingernails sculpted out there on the hands. And then we, on top of that, have the drums, and you can see 2 different versions of them here when it comes to the drums that you see in the film. Again, you can actually put liquid in there technically if you really wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can, because there is an opening up here on the top. But again, really cool addition. Nothing overly incredible, but definitely really, really fun. But as far as a size goes for our King Kong, and as we can see, he stands really nicely, which again is a plus. These figures always stand nicely. As far as the height goes, you're looking at a little over 6.5 inches, or right around 17 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our 1962 King Kong from Ricsan Custom Toys. And you can see, again, definitely right there in the same similar size range that we have for most other figures in the line. And for a size comparison to further help you out, there is the Ricsan Custom Toys King Kong and Stan Winston Godzilla next to each other, again showing you that King Kong is actually a little bit taller, but they're very similar in size. We also have a Playmates Godzilla here next to King Kong to help give you an idea of the size if you are a Playmates collector. An SH Monster Arts Godzilla as far as a size comparison goes as well, again just a little bit smaller. And pretty much just continuing to run through, some standard kaiju comparisons, here is the Hiya Toys King of the Monsters Godzilla, which as well, again, is a little hair shorter, but not by much. We do also have a NECA King Kong, which you can see is definitely a bit taller than our Ricsan Custom Toys version. No doubt about that. The NECA version's quite large. And the final comparison, and a comparison I have been waiting for so long to see, we have the NECA King Kong vs. Godzilla. Godzilla, aka, again, the 1962 version, next to the 1962 version of King Kong. So the Toho versions of course, Godzilla and King Kong. But you can see these 2 figures look fantastic next to each other. So if you do have this version of the NECA Godzilla, I feel like you absolutely have to pick up this King Kong from Ricsan Custom Toys. They make the perfect companion pieces, and you can see they size up next to each other, I'm pretty sure, about as correctly as it gets. So absolutely epic in the best way possible to see these 2 figures next to each other. So this brand new Ricsan Custom Toys, a super articulated 1962 King Kong is awesome. Definitely another really cool figure from them, and maybe not necessarily everyone's cup of tea, because I know not everybody loves the 1962 design of King Kong. Obviously, the Toho version was kind of goofy looking for its time, but I've always had such a soft spot for it, a fondness, because it's a film that I saw so many times growing up, as well as, of course, King Kong Escapes and stuff like that. So I really am a huge fan of this figure. It's a version of King Kong that has been so overlooked over the years, and I'm really happy to finally see it get its due, and not only get its due, but get such a great release of it. The sculpt on this is fantastic from head to toe. It looks exactly like the King Kong does in Godzilla vs. King Kong, and again, the fine detail throughout looks great. It's really quite vibrant, very impressive. Overall is a perfect representation of this version of King Kong. The paintwork is also quite nicely done. Obviously, it's not super highly detailed, but it's very nicely detailed overall. But honestly, when it comes to King Kong, there isn't really all that much color that you would need to add to him anyway. I think for the overall visual of King Kong, I think they did a very good job. Honestly, the only thing that would be needed would be paintwork on the fingernails and toenails, and that's about it. It is without a question one of the nicest painted figures, I would say, from Ricsan Custom Toys so far. And of course, the fact that you have alternating hands and an alternating head is super cool, and the jugs that you have there to kind of, put your King Kong to sleep if you choose to, also helping to give you even more diorama possibilities. Without a doubt, a figure that, in my opinion, is a must-have. So if you are interested, I will include links in the description to where you can head on over to Ricsan Custom Toys on Instagram, and you can inquire further about purchasing this figure again on there, or you can, of course, send them an email if you do not have social media. I will include their email address as well. So make sure you check those links. Definitely pick this figure up, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.